You know, I don't sign up for updates for it anymore, so maybe I'm completely incorrect on this. But I feel like it's even more of a fuck you by Rockstar to fans of Red Dead that they're still releasing big announcements on GTA Online. But then every time I see an announcement about Red Dead Online, it's like, and here's another Fortnite-style map for all y'all to get into.
Yeah.
Here's the 60th way to play Fortnite on Red Dead Online, but nothing else that's in terms of really fun content to play as a gang of crook robbers. This is what we all thought. Motherfuckers. Oh, oops, we're broadcasting, huh? Mother truckers. Mother knuckers. He's being silly right now. Are you being silly, Ty baby? Ty, you're being silly. Ty, you're being silly. You're being silly. Ty, you're being silly. Josh, are we rolling? Click, click, boom.
Click, click, boom.
Yeah, you knew what I was talking about. Coming down your stereo, we're gonna do the radio. Click, click, boom. It's all inside of me. It's all inside of my head. If 2020 couldn't get any worse, there was an announcement like a month ago that Nickelback is going to be doing like a new album or like a tour or some shit. And people are like, no! Hey everybody, I know times are tough, but Nickelback is back. Fuck.
No!
What's that, Court?
No, it's just 2020 couldn't get any worse.
It couldn't get any worse. Josh, I don't know if you're muted, by the way. You might be muted.
Ah, okay. Alright. I'm ready. So,
he's ready.
The entire Twilight Saga described.
Wait, I thought we were just doing the first two movies.
Well, no, I'm doing
are we doing it all now?
recap of the first two.
Okay.
Because we did the first two before.
Mm-hmm.
But Corey wasn't here for that, and he hasn't seen them, I guess.
For a little background, Corey, just so you know, I'm aware of the books and the settings and stuff. Courtney's read them and talked to me about the books, but both her and I have never been interested in seeing the movies. Twilight. Josh saw the rest of them, so he's going to give us the recap.
So, like, in the first movie, Bella, who's the main character, she's like 16 or 17 in the first one, and she moves from Arizona, where she's living with her mom, to Washington to live with her dad. When she gets there, she meets Edward, who relatively quickly falls in love with her and reveals to her that he's a vampire and that he's living there with a few other vampires that he calls his family. I guess, like, in terms of vampires, they would be his family because they were all made by the same person, I think. Or maybe not all of them, but you know what I'm saying. Like, so right off the bat, there's a handful, like maybe 5 good vampires. About halfway through the movie, they run into 3 vampires that are just passing through the area, and one of them is this red-haired girl. Can't remember what her name is. And one of them is James, I think, is the name, and he kind of looks like a knockoff, like Thor, a little bit. Like he's got that kind of like blonde ponytail look going. Hunter in the vampire world, and when he sets his sights on something, he can't be stopped. So he decides he's gonna hunt Bella, the main character, you know. And so that's what the first movie's about, is this dude, like, trying to find her, and the vampire family coming to her rescue. Edward shows up first and fights him for a little bit. But James ends up getting killed by the vampire family. And this really kind of funny scene where you're seeing, like, the close-ups of, like, Edward and Bella, and he's, like, she had been bit, and, like, to keep her from turning, he has to, like, suck the vampire blood out of her. Or the venom is what they call it. And it's supposed to be this,
yeah,
like,
the venom. What the fuck, dude?
It's supposed to be
Venom?
this, like, touching moment, but in the background, the bad guy, James, is literally being ripped apart by the rest of the vampire family and thrown onto a fire. So that's how the first movie ends. So the second movie picks up with Edward deciding that it's too dangerous for him to, like, stay with her or something, I think, and that he's gonna leave, that he's just gonna be like, I can't be here anymore. And they all leave, all the vampires leave, so that now Bella is on her own. Oh yeah, I forgot, she has a friend named Jacob in the first movie who has, like, a crush on her, but she's in love with Edward, so it's one of those kind of, like, love triangle kind of situations. So in the second movie, she spends a lot more time with Jacob, who eventually reveals, or as it turns out, is a werewolf. But, like, he can just turn into a wolf. You know what I'm saying? So, in the first movie, if you remember, I mentioned that there was a red-headed vampire, like a lady vampire. She was in love with James, the bad guy from the first one who got killed. So she comes back to hunt for Bella. And that's sort of where the second one... I think that's what the second one's about. I remember, like, there's a point where... See, all vampires have a power. Like, maybe not every vampire, but some vampires have a power. Edward's power is to read minds. And he has one of his friend's powers is to see the future. It's not always determined, but, like, she can see glimpses of the future. So Edward leaves, the whole family leaves at the beginning, and they go to, like, Rome or something like that. And while they're in Rome, the girl who can see the future sees a vision of Bella dying, and that makes it so Edward's just like, all right, well, I don't want to live anymore either. So, I had to have this explained to me because I swear I watched this movie and was still totally confused about this, but I guess he goes to, like, a vampire council and asks to, like, kill himself or something, but his power is too valuable to the council, so they're like, no, you can't do that. And they were like, you know, I think one of the council members' powers is if he touches you, he can, like, read all your memories, like, he knows everything about you, you know what I'm saying? So he knows about Bella, and he decides Bella knows too much, and that she now has to either die or be made. And so Edward's like, all right, I'll make her, you know, I'll make her into a vampire. I don't want to, but, like, and she, mind you, has been asking for, like, 2 movies to be made into a vampire. So the way that movie ends, oh, you know what? Actually, that happens a little bit later in the movie. At first, he just says he's gonna go, like, he just wants to, like, die because he thinks she's dead. So she goes from Washington to, like, wherever he is in Rome or Spain or whatever, to go stop him from, like, essentially he decides, if I can't kill myself, I'm just going to reveal vampires to the world. And because vampires don't die if they go into the sun in the Twilight universe, in the Twilight universe, vampires glitter. They, like, fucking sparkle if they go into the sun. As far as
fucking
I can tell.
sparkle.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So Bella shows up and stops him from revealing himself, and that happens in the same building that the council is. So the council calls him downstairs. The dude who can read minds reads like everyone's mind to figure out that Bella knows too much, and they decide she either has to die or be made. Edward says he'll make her if you let him live, kind of thing. And so that's how the second movie ends, is with Edward having to make Bella. Bella has not been made yet, though, mind you. She's not a vampire, or just
Ooh,
I'm not even saying she becomes a vampire. I'm just saying she's definitely not a vampire in that movie.
Maybe the cliffhanger is better than them doing you dirty with the fucking. Oh, this movie's gonna be about Edward. Hello, 3 minutes in, no Edward. For all you that bought tickets to go see Edward.
Like, if you were a fan of Edward, that whole movie, he's barely in it. He appears to her in visions whenever she does something dangerous. Like, if she starts doing, like, thrill seeker stuff, like riding dirt bikes and stuff, and it's like, whenever she does that, he appears and goes, "Don't do it, Bella." Like the fucking, like a force ghost or something, you know? So that's the first 2 movies. So I finally watched the rest of them. I think the next one... God, what's the next one? The next one's called Eclipse. So the first one's Twilight, the second one's New Moon, and the third one is Eclipse.
Ooh, okay. The moon state phases.
So Eclipse
Very
opens,
original.
Yeah. So Eclipse opens
No
with
moon.
fucking... Eclipse opens with the I'm just gonna tell you, like, spoiler alert if anybody was worried about having these movies spoiled for them. Spoiler alert. I feel like in this day and age it's like,
There's already been spoilers.
well, I mean, these movies aren't exactly new.
That's what I'm saying. The movies in themselves are spoiler.
So what was I talking about? Eclipse. Okay, so basically the red-headed vampire from the first movie comes back and starts, like, turning... She shows up in Seattle and starts turning vampires, like, making all these, like, baby vampires, to build an army so that she could take that army to where they live in Washington and fucking kill Bella and Edward and all them for killing the person she loved.
Literally diaper-wearing vampires?
No, I mean, they just a new vampire is like a baby vampire, like a brand new, a newborn vampire. Could be.
I was hoping they were like literally babies.
No, but I will tell you one thing: baby vampires is a thing in the Twilight universe, and we're gonna get there. We'll get there. So, in that movie, basically, they have to form a truce between the fucking, they form a truce between the wolves and the vampires to protect the town for when this army of vampires, this army of new vampires shows up to try to kill everybody.
These aren't just werewolves, right? They're different than normal werewolves.
They just turn into wolves. They turn into giant wolves. They turn into, like, dire wolf size wolves.
Lame.
You know what I'm saying? They're big, but, like, they're just wolves. They can all speak telepathically. The wolves can, to each other, but not to other people. And they can't read other people's thoughts. But Edward can read other people's thoughts. Okay, so the Council of Vampires at this point has caught wind that somebody's running around Seattle turning vampires, and Edward's afraid that they're going to show up and realize that they haven't turned Bella yet. But Bella keeps asking Edward to turn her, but he wants her to, like, experience a little more of human life before turning into a vampire. So that whole movie builds up to a final confrontation between Victoria, the red-headed vampire, the villain, and Edward on a mountaintop where they finally manage to kill Victoria. And the way to kill a vampire is you have to completely rip them apart and you have to burn their body. Like, you can rip them apart and they'll still live if you don't burn the body.
That's pretty metal.
So, like, but it's funny because every time, like, literally almost every time some vampire gets ripped apart, somebody has some fire, like, somewhere, just out of nowhere. It's like, oh, there's fire here. Convenient.
Maybe they keep fire in their butts. Like a Legend of Zelda thing.
So, yeah, so, like, that movie is better than the... I mean, I want to say I like the first one the most, but it's got some cheesy shit in it. But it's probably better than the first two. It's when you could tell they started putting some real money into making the movies, and the way it's filmed is a little, like, the quality's a little better. But then we get into Breaking Dawn, Part 1. And this shit, Part 1 and 2, this is like the Infinity War and Endgame of the Twilight Saga. Like, everybody comes back. So, the first Breaking Dawn starts with Bella and Edward getting married. And, essentially, like, they agreed, like, they weren't going to have sex until they get married. They don't really explain why it's dangerous, but they keep saying it's dangerous for a vampire to have sex with a human. Probably something about being super strong or super magic. Something about blood. Who fucking knows? I don't know. So, they decide they're only going to have sex on their honeymoon. So they do, and they spend about like a week or 2 weeks like at this cabin where they are, and fucking crazy enough, somehow Bella gets pregnant.
Of course.
And of course nobody understands
Oh.
how it's happening.
It was
So-
written by a Mormon? Shit.
Was it?
Apparently a Mormon wrote the books.
So basically, Bella is now carrying a half vampire, half human baby, and nobody understands how that's possible. Like, nobody has an answer for it. Oh yeah, and it's important that their honeymoon, where they conceived of this child, is in Brazil, and their housekeeper for Edward's house in Brazil, like, is sort of on to Edward, like, it's on to him, like, you're a demon or something, you know, like, so, essentially, the baby is killing her, you know, because he's, like, draining so much from her, it's making her, like, super skinny, gaunt, like, you know, frail looking, and eventually they figure out that if she just drinks, like, for some reason, just drinks blood like it's a fucking milkshake, that'll fucking quench the baby's thirst. There's a lot of stretching things, like logic and believability in these films. I get it, it's a movie about vampires and werewolves, but meanwhile, while all this is going on, while all this is going on, Jacob, the werewolf guy, who's in love with Bella, who's been trying to win her back or win her to his side or whatever it be, is going through this whole, like, I guess in werewolf culture, when you pick a mate for life, it's called imprinting, but you don't get to choose, not a mate, but like a companion for life. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody you're mating with, but just you have a connection with somebody if you imprint on them, and you don't get to choose who you imprint on. Like, it just happens to you. You know what I'm saying? So he's going through this whole thing where he's like, I wish I could just imprint on somebody so that I can forget about Bella, because if he imprinted on someone, he would forget this, like, obsession he has with this girl. Um, so she's pregnant. She goes through the whole first Breaking Dawn, like, gets to the point where she's having the kid, but the doctor, who one of the vampires that lives with them is a doctor, but he's not there when this happens. I don't really know why he wasn't the one who got to stay behind, because the other vampires got to stay behind. It seems kind of silly to make the doctor leave, but whatever. So basically, Edward has to perform a C-section on Bella to deliver this half-human, half-vampire baby, who they're not 100% sure is going to be good or bad. Edward said he could kind of read the feelings of the baby, and it seemed like it was going to be cool. But at this point, it's like, you don't know what's going to happen. So, of course, like, the baby's born, and it's good, and there's nothing wrong with her. But Bella is dying. Like, she couldn't, like, it just took everything from her. So Edward decides now is the time to turn her, because he couldn't turn her with the baby in her. He wasn't sure what that was going to do, that it might not even work, you know? So he decides he's going to turn her now, and it doesn't seem like it's working. Like, he's bitter. She's
near death.
She's dead. Like, she just seems dead. Like, she's out, not moving, not responding, no pulse, done. And he's performing CPR on her. Not very good CPR, mind you, but CPR.
Oh, that's the tale of all movies. Always bad CPR.
For like so long, dude. And eventually you see inside her, you see like a fucking glimpse of like the inside of her body, and it's like repairing herself and stuff, and you can tell she's turning. And the last shot of the movie is her opening her eyes, and then it goes to credits. So that's Breaking Dawn Part 1.
And that's the one with the cover where Bella looks super constipated, right?
She doesn't look happy at all on that cover. So Breaking Dawn Part 2 picks up with... Oh yeah, real quick, I forgot. In Breaking Dawn Part 1, when the wolves find out about the half-human, half-vampire, they decide it's too dangerous to keep alive. So Jacob is tasked with killing the baby.
Yay! No. Poor Jacob.
So essentially, Bella comes back, and she is a vampire now. And Jacob goes outside for a second to sort of mourn Bella because he doesn't realize that she's going to come back to life. And then he decides, all right, I have to go back inside and take care of this baby. And when he goes back inside, he's like sort of not sneaking up on the baby because they know he's there. And they, as far as the vampires know, can trust him, you know? So he's walking up behind the person holding the baby, and he sees the baby, makes eye contact with the baby, and imprints on the fucking baby. So now, by his fucking culture and his, like, whatever it is, that magic that makes him a werewolf, he now has to protect this baby for life.
Well, that's a big F you to his elders.
So yeah, but it also means that the werewolves can't kill the baby because it's part of their culture that they can't kill anything that another wolf has imprinted on. Or like another being or human or whatever it be. You know what I'm saying? Also, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I'm pretty confident that the baby has like CGI'd eyes to look more like Bella's, or to look more vampire-ish.
Maybe they gave him baby contacts.
Maybe.
The eyes look all weird.
They definitely did something to it. Mind you, also, this baby is growing faster than a normal child. Because she gets pregnant and has the baby within, like, a month.
Wow.
They don't really get too much into how much
turnaround.
time is passing, but it's clear that it hasn't been that long. You know what I'm saying? So there's another complicated side story with another one of their family members who was killed by a werewolf. And so now there's another family member, a cousin or an aunt, who doesn't like hanging out with Edward and his family because they're friends with the werewolf people at this point. And she goes to sort of talk to him and make amends about it. But she sees Bella with a child on top of one of the werewolves because Jacob is like protecting the kid now from like full time, you know? And she thinks that Bella turned a child, and that's like against vampire law. So she goes back to the council and tells them what happened, and then they come to Washington. And the end of the whole fucking Twilight franchise is everybody on Bella's team, all the werewolves, basically it's them assembling like a team because they like the vampire, the oldest vampire, the one who made a bunch of them. I forgot what that dude's name is. Essentially, they owe him a bunch of favors, so he calls in everybody to join him in the fight. He doesn't want to fight, but if it has to come to that, he wants a team. You know what I'm saying? So he's got like 20 or so dudes with him. Guess who's in the second fucking Breaking Dawn movie? Guess who is in that fucking movie? Rami Malek.
Oh, I was gonna guess.
Well, you took too long. So yeah, a
Does he
bunch
sing
of those,
"We Will Rock You"?
I wish that would have made the movie a lot better, honestly. Although I like, if I had to say I had a favorite Twilight movie, I can say Breaking Dawn Part 1's my favorite one. That one is the most like, what the hell is happening? This is crazy and awesome at the same time. So Breaking Dawn Part 2 ends with a confrontation between the Vampire Council and all their vampires and the fucking Bella's team with a bunch of werewolves and a handful of other vampires on their side. And just before the fight starts, like Alice, the one who can see the future, shows up, and she says she's seen the future for how this all ends, and she knows what's gonna happen. So the mind reading dude, the dude whose power is if he touches you, he can read all your memories. He touches Alice and reads her mind and sees what's gonna happen. And so the next scene is like him just being like, all right, we're gonna kill everybody, and they just start fucking killing people, and it's this huge fight where like everybody's fucking getting beat up, and like people are dying, like big characters are dying, like left and right. Like it's not fucking pretty, and it's like, wow, like that's a major from the first movie character, and that
What
dude's
big characters?
dead. So like the dad vampire, the oldest one, the doctor one, the one who's been there since the beginning, who's been a huge pivotal part in the movies, he's fucking done. Like one of the younger brother werewolf, or the younger cousin werewolf, the one that like was the underdog one that was super like doing the right thing even though it was gonna cost him, you know? Like he dies. Like fucking all the fucking big like older vampires from like the bad guy's side start dropping. Even the fucking main dude who can read your memories from touching you gets killed. And that dude's creepy as fuck because like whenever someone offers to like, here, you can read my memory, he's like, oh yeah, let me do that, and come on. Like gets really fucking creepy about it, like he gets off on it or something. So all of them fucking die, and it's this fucking terrible, like, wow, like another one of the main vampire family dies, like, you know, it's pretty vicious. And then just when you think like everyone's dead, it fucking snaps back, and suddenly we're back to right when she's handing her hand to the dude who can read her memories. But she's taken her hand away, and she's like, you see how this is gonna end? So the whole fucking scene of everybody dying was just a part of her power showing him what could happen, but didn't actually happen. And the Twilight Saga ends with the Vampire Council being like, you're right, we're done here. There's no harm. Let us leave. And they just go.
You talking about that last fight in the snow thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it was all just like, it didn't actually happen. So, that's it. That's the Twilight Saga. Overall, I don't hate it.
That's the fucking ending? That's the ending.
Yeah, the final ultimate fight
Doesn't even happen.
Oh,
it doesn't
yeah.
actually happen.
Okay, so just after that, Alice says, because you gotta imagine, like, the dude who's reading the memory, he's reading it, like, instantly. So even though the fight for us took, like, 15, 20 minutes, like, for him it's, like, instant. So the next shot is her being like, hey, and also I have this, and, excuse me, this dude walks up out of nowhere, and they're like, this guy is half vampire, half human, and he can explain to you what it's like, and how he's no danger to anyone. And then that's it. So it turns out everything's fine, no harm, no foul, everybody goes home. Edward and Bella live happily ever after. Their kid grows up. They were afraid that she was going to age super fast and then die, but as it turns out, if you're half human, half vampire, you reach like a maturity level, like a 25 or something, and then you don't age past that. So, you know, overall it was like a teen version of True Blood. Again, I don't hate it.
That's all, folks. Just that Porky Pig at the end.